Yo, welcome to Spectator Sporting. I'm Zach Roach along with my partner, Mr. Adi Wally. We got a big show for y'all today. Another boxing show. And we talking boxing. You know we got Byron here. Big time fight. But before we get into this fight, make sure you go on YouTube, subscribe to that page, hit that bell. Man, leave comments. We do reply. We love it when you send hate comments, and we love when you give us props. Man, much appreciated. We got another big fight. Hitchins versus Kambosos. Richardson Hitchins, man, super lightweight. Richardson Hitchins, 27 from Brooklyn, New York, is the IBF World Super Lightweight Champion. Comes in 19-0, 7 knockouts. Last fight, he won a split decision against Liam Parle. I hope I said that right. This fight had a crazy scorecard though. Frank Lombardi and Carlos Zapata, the judges, voted at 116 to 112, while Nelson Vasquez had him losing.
He should be banned.
He really should.
Yeah, he had him losing 111, 117.
Okay.
He should be banned. Nelson Vasquez, I just had to get that out. That was a horrible score.
So that's what I had to
It should have been a unanimous decision. Yeah.
That's what I was getting at. Okay, thank you. Yeah, but so crazy fight. So obviously it was something going on, man. We don't know. But Kambosos, 31 from Australia, comes in 22-3, 10 knockouts. Last fight, he defeated Jake Wiley in a 12-round unanimous decision, and now will try to pull off a big upset against the IBF champs, Richardson. Adi, talk to me about this fight.
Yeah, well, the Brooklyn native and IBF champion, Richardson Hitchins, is Ring Magazine's #1 contender for the TakeOver Teofimo Lopez Ring Magazine Championship belt, okay?
But he won't fight him.
And so Richardson Hitchins, he didn't even want to fight George Kambosos. He didn't want Kambosos. He wanted a unification title fight with Teofimo Lopez, but Teofimo didn't sign.
What's his name?
Teofimo?
I'm sorry.
He'll take over. Teofimo Lopez.
Keep getting it wrong. Keeps getting it wrong.
So the thing is, Lopez,
My bad.
he didn't sign a contract, okay? Yeah. And so what happened was Richardson Hitchins said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go after the guy, the only man to beat Teofimo Lopez, George Ferocious Kambosos, okay?
I like it.
And Hitchins is 27 years old. He's not a KO artist. He has 7 knockouts in 19 fights, but his 74-inch reach is a major problem for the entire Junior Welterweight Division. But in his second to last fight, the then 29-0, very tough Argentine fighter Gustavo Lemos gave Richardson Hitchins some problems, okay? Especially early in that 8th round when a Lemos left-right hook combination hurt Hitchins, and Richardson pretty much for the rest of that 8th round was clinching and holding to survive the round. Then he got by in the championship rounds and slid out of there with a controversial victory. Okay. Now, but Hitchins had a very nice bounce back performance versus the Australian Liam Parle to snatch away his IBF title, okay? And so the jabs just kept raining on Liam Parle, and then Hitchins would mix in some 1-2s, some straight right hands, and the occasional left hook, okay? Liam Parle had a very tough time closing the distance against Richardson Hitchins, and the footwork from Hitchins was impressive, okay? Yeah. The man wasn't a statue. He was moving around the ring pretty good, and Hitchins is not complicated. He just does a few things very, very well.
Yeah,
definitely.
True.
And hopefully we don't see Nelson Vasquez judging this fight. So like that was incredible. But Byron, Hitchins, 27 from Brooklyn, New York, 19-0, 7 knockouts, IBF champ. Yeah. What's your thoughts on this fight?
Like I love this fight. I thought this was a great fight to fight after Teofimo pulled his special maneuver, which is pretending like he wants to fight and then not wanting to fight. You're fighting Kambosos. This is his second fight at 140. So, you're fighting a 135-pounder who got ran out of the 135-pound division by a Lomachenko-ass whipping. Yeah. So, I think this is a great matchup stylistically, and I think it's a great matchup for Hitchins because I think he is the bigger guy in this fight. I think his jab will reign supreme if he throws it. He has to be conscious not to be too tentative with it, because Kambosos will come with the offense. But again, as Adi alluded to, this guy is good at fundamental stuff. You're not gonna look at Hitchins and say that, oh my goodness, he's just this overpowering, overwhelming force. He has a very good jab, and he can fight big, but he can also counter coming on the inside, which I think will reign supreme in this fight. I think if Kambosos comes in too reckless, his night could be over very, very quickly. Okay. And he's not a big puncher, but he kind of uses your momentum. Yeah, he puts himself in position to land his counter shots, and he lands them. My little nickname for him is like the big fundamental. Like really, when he gets in trouble, he'll sit on the jab and he can win the fight with the jab. And he's an orthodox fighter, and is again nothing that'll stand out on tape, but 5'10", 74-inch reach, very big for 140, and he is definitely going to be a problem in that division, which is why Teofimo will never fight him.
Man, listen, man, Hitchins definitely is a very talented fighter, but to you guys' point, Kambosos is a very, very worthy opponent.
Definitely.
From Australia, 31 years old, Byron, 22-3, 10 knockouts. What problems can he give Hitchison in this fight where he might win this fight?
If the Kambosos, from Australia can find his way over, the Kambosos that fought Devin Haney twice, if he can find his way over to the Americas for this fight, then Hitchins will have a problem, because Kambosos is a very intelligent, aggressive fighter, very tactical in his aggression, but he can be hurt, and he is 31, which is not old, but it's a little younger in the tooth as far as Hitchins. If this wasn't his second fight at 140, I would really like this fight and could possibly, look at it as Kambosos doing something. But again, this is his second fight. I think his first fight, Jake Wiley Jake Wiley had some power, on his stats. He was a powerful guy, but he looked like meat. He looked like meat for Kambosos. And I think Kambosos winning that fight, stepping into this shot, with the Teofimo situation, it just all aligned to perfect. It's a perfect fight, an aggressive fight, especially since, everybody doesn't like boxers anymore, and everybody is running this, running that. We got two fighters that are definitely going to create a very watchable, exciting fight. Kambosos' style is, as I alluded to, tactically aggressive, and he can be smart in stretches, but he can be hurt. And so my problem with Kambosos is, have you really got over that Lomachenko loss? You kind of ran out of 135, and I think once a guy loses in a division and they feel like the weight is a problem, they want to immediately go forward. But to get this type of shot at this kid at this point in his career, you do kind of look at Kambosos like, why would you want this fight? But I think his championship pedigree. I think he's a guy that's very proud, and he really feels he can win this fight. So I don't think that he has the skill, and it's not so much that I think his IQ might be better than Hitchins, but I think Hitchins is more adapt to this weight. And this weight with his reach and his jab, he's just gonna basically, fight big and easily outpoint him.
I like it. So Kambosos, you heard Byron said about George Kambosos. Very tough opponent, no doubt about it, but it's only his second fight in the 140 division. What do you see going on in this fight with Hitchins?
Well, yeah, so the reason for the fight, Liam Pearl fought Richardson Hitchins. Liam Pearl, Australia.
Yeah.
So they was building it up. They wanted Liam Pearl to win, so they had this Australian battle between Kambosos and Liam Pearl, big
in Australia.
Yeah, that was going to be a big fight. But then Hitchins won, so now he's going to get Kambosos. And it works out perfectly because Hitchins won Teofimo. This is the guy who beat Teofimo, so they just the stars align. So the Australian and former undisputed champ George Ferocious Kambosos only losses came to Devin Haney and Lomachenko, okay? And he's a number 3 IBF contender right now. And so, but since his upset over Teofimo Lopez, he's been falling off, okay? In his first fight versus Devin Haney, Kambosos was looking for the counterpunch as Devin Haney was consistently working off the jab as Kambosos lost his undisputed title, and so Devin Haney became the youngest undisputed champ we've seen.
They ran it back.
Yeah.
In Australia.
They ran it back, and my thing is the rematch was very unnecessary to me because Devin Haney convincingly won that first fight, and he won the second fight even more convincingly. I just feel like it was a waste of time.
It's contract agreement though. That was the only way to get that fight.
I wish he would have fought somebody else. It sucked. Yeah, didn't want to see that rematch. I wish he would have fought another lightweight guy, Shakur or somebody else, but hey, they did the rematch. It was in the contract. Now, and then the next fight for Kambosos is when Maxie Hughes got robbed against George Kambosos. I had Maxie Hughes winning the first 5 rounds of that fight, as once again George Kambosos was waiting too long to get aggressive. It's like he's waiting for his opponent to make a mistake like Teofimo Lopez did when he threw out that lazy jab, and Kambosos countered with a wicked overhand right, which knocked down Teofimo, and he ended up winning that fight for the upset, okay? And so after Maxie Hughes, Kambosos went after Lomachenko, and in the 11th round, Lomachenko gave him a left hook to the body, hurt Kambosos badly. He ended up finishing him in the 11th round for the TKO. The ref had to stop the fight, okay? And so in Kambosos' last fight versus the Machine, the KO artist, Jake Wiley, Ferocious Kambosos got off to a faster start this time. He landed lots of left hooks as Jake Wiley was clearly going for the knockout. He didn't even get a knockdown as Kambosos won by unanimous decision. Now, George Kambosos, in my book, this is his last chance to become relevant, okay? Because he's been on a downward slope since that Teofimo Lopez fight. He needs to do whatever he can to get this upset.
Yeah, definitely. So if he doesn't, all right. So let me just ask y'all, what can he? I know y'all kind of explained it, but what's his best tactic to attacking Hitchison that he's gonna help him with to pull off?
I think if you have one bad thing to say about Hitchins, is he can be very tentative. With his shots, and I think if he, again, Kambosos has been on the big stage, so that's another thing that kind of leans toward him.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Kambosos will not be like the big lights will not have any effect on him. He'll be, kind of sold on his game plan and ready to do what he has to do. But I think for Kambosos to be successful in this fight, it's more so what Hitchins won't do. So if Hitchins is too tentative at the beginning of this fight, because he's not a knockout artist, if he does knock somebody out, it'll be more accumulation than just one shot. So if he gets down early in this fight, that can present problems in the championship rounds because he won't have that one punch knockout or, to change the fight around. And Kambosos can actually sit on his aggression and win rounds. So I think you wanna go after him and be the bigger fighter. Pump your jab, and if he does that, I don't see Kambosos, getting off of that. I think that Lomachenko fight really, really exposed him. And while I understand him moving up, he moves up to a land of sharks. So it's a lot of, you got Devin Haney up here, kind of in the purgatory of 140 and 147, but he'll fight you at 147, but you lost twice to him. And then you have Tia, the guy you beat, which possibly that fight could possibly happen just because Tia might not be able to get an opponent.
He might want a revenge.
A revenge. I mean, to play that, but he's just not been able to find an opponent. Like it seems like he wants to fight people that don't want to fight him. On top of all the ignorant, racist shit that he says. I think fighters are taking a stance.
No Boots Ennis? Yeah. Because that's rumor was flying around.
It was a rumor, but now it's coming out that Boots does not want that fight. He's totally stepping away from that fight. So, which I don't understand Boots stepping away from that fight. That's another conversation.
Right.
But Kambosos can win this fight if Hitchison doesn't do what he needs to do. You know, and he can be tentative, but again, with the shit that he talking, and it's just, I love his swagger. You know, he's talking about knocking Kambosos out, which I don't think is going to happen, but
yeah.
he's saying, like, I'm coming after you in this fight, which is, it's a great place for him. Like, the universe kind of aligned perfectly with him beating Liam Paro, which I didn't think he could beat Liam Paro, and I kind of picked Liam Paro in that fight, and so he really surprised me.
Well, Hitchins was coming off a very shaky performance
he was.
against Lemos. So.
He was. So and I felt like now you want to fight Liam Paro as tough as he is, but I kind of got on the Hitchins train after that. Like this kid is tough, and he wants to be great. So I'm always leaning toward them guys that'll make the fight. That'll people say, oh, don't make this fight. You know, your career is on an uptick. You don't want to take this fight because you can lose. Like, fight the fights you can lose, because that's what's gonna make you better. And I think this fight makes Hitchins a way better fighter, because Kambosos is a name. You know, even though he's on a downward spiral, he still is a big name. He's still a guy that beat the guy that you want to fight at 140. And so beating him decisive, it bodes well for
It kind of was why David Benavidez wants to fight Bivol.
Absolutely.
He wants to beat the man that beat Canelo.
Right. Yeah.
Canelo, who won't fight him. So,
right.
Yeah.
But he's never going to get that fight because Canelo is a well-seasoned duck.
So, man.
All the seasonings.
All right, we talked about everything. So, Adi, who's going to win this fight? In what round? Is it going to be a knockout, split decision? Well, if Willie Nelson is it, what's his
Yeah, Nelson Vasquez.
Sorry,
he definitely hates
Even though it was a knockout, I still feel he lost the decision.
I said Willie Nelson. That's what it felt like.
He was looking like Willie.
Man.
But who wins this fight?
Yeah, maybe it was Ray Charles judging the fight. No, but so George, you know, the question we asked, what did George need to do? George Kambosos, he has to change it up. He needs to become more of a pressure fighter than a counter puncher in this fight in order to have a chance. He can't wait around for 4 to 6 rounds waiting for that perfect shot while eating lots of jabs, okay? Get into some dirty boxing, like he slammed Jake Wiley down to the canvas, okay? He busted Maxie Hughes' forehead with a headbutt. He grabbed Devin Haney and was punching the ref, had to break it up. Do some dirty boxing, okay?
Get dirty, yeah.
And so...
You gotta do what you gotta do to win.
And then possibly he can land that nasty overhand right again, you know? So, on June 14th, on fight night, okay, after the fight, George Kambosos is going to be celebrating. Australia is going to be in celebration mode because it's his birthday. June 14th is George Kambosos' birthday, and he's going to be celebrating, not because he won, because he's going to lose by unanimous decision. I get Richardson Hitchins.
That was amazing. The shock on our face. I'm like, I know if this dude picked Kambosos. Whoa.
That's crazy. So, unanimous decision.
Happy birthday, brother.
All right.
Byron, can Kambosos pull off the upset on his birthday?
Yeah, and Kambosos is he's a great fighter. Like, I really like him, but it's just, you know, it's the timing. Timing is everything. And your second fight at 140, you facing a guy that's really, really, really he's on his way. And I just don't see him doing this fight. Will this be an exciting fight? I really do think it will. It is. I don't think Kambosos will come in and be tentative. I think he's going to be aggressive, but I don't think he gets past that jab. And I think Hitchins just sits off of him and he fights big and wins a very easy unanimous decision. And hopefully goes on to face Teofimo in the near future.
Definitely. I see this as an exciting fight, which I think is going to be some fireworks, but I got Hitchins winning. I think if he comes and does what he's supposed to do, I think he wins the fight. But Kambosos is a worthy opponent. This is a good opponent for Hitchins, and then this could set Hitchins up for further down the line in his division.
And aren't these fights better? Like the fights where you got two people fighting, but there's a chance that someone can lose. Even though we have a couple fights coming up, you know, the Keyshawn Davis, De Los Santos, this fight. These are fights where the opponents are not tomato cans.
Right.
Yeah.
They are accomplished and they can win these fights. These fights are so much better to talk about, and so much more exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Definitely. You've been watching Spectator Sporting. I'm Zach Roach, along with my partner, Mr. Adi Wally. Shout out to Byrne. Make sure y'all go on Spectator Sporting page on YouTube. Hit that like button, subscribe, go on TikTok. We love the comments. Y'all going crazy on TikTok. We much appreciate it. Also go on Spotify. You can listen to it while you riding in your car. In the meantime, in between time, we out. Peace.